Imagine moving into your college dorm, excited for a new chapter in life. But what if the room you're assigned hides a dark, twisted secret? Strange noises echo behind the walls, shadows lurk just out of sight, and a chilling presence refuses to let go. What starts as harmless curiosity quickly turns into a terrifying nightmare, one that will haunt you long after you leave. This is not just a ghost story. It's a true account of horror and survival. Are you ready to uncover what really happened in room 3B? Before we dive into this chilling story, make sure to follow and support this channel for more real horror stories that will keep you up at night. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. It started with something small. A sudden email from the housing department that said my roommate had moved out and a new one would be moving in by the end of the day. No explanation. No warning. Just gone. I didn't think much of it at first. His name was Eric Malone. Transferred in from a school in upstate New York, supposedly. I never actually saw him arrive. I was out that evening, and by the time I got back, his side of the room was already set up. The lights were off. He was in bed. I figured I'd say hi the next morning. Only, he wasn't there when I woke up. His bed looked untouched. Sheets perfectly smooth. Closet locked with a small black padlock. I checked my phone, no message from housing, no update. Weird, but maybe he left early. That night, I heard the door click open just past 1 in the morning. No light flipped on. Just soft footsteps. I rolled over, pretending to be asleep. I saw his silhouette walk across the room, slow and careful. Then he stood there. Staring. I couldn't see his face. Just the outline of his frame, motionless, directly in front of my bed. For how long, I don't know. But eventually he turned around and climbed into bed. The next morning, I asked him if he needed anything. He just looked at me and said, in a low, dry voice, "I don't like talking in the morning." Then he went back to his notebook. The only thing he ever seemed to write in. Eric didn't talk much, not even when I tried small talk. No music, no phone calls, no sound at all. But he always seemed to be there. Lying down. Sitting up. Sometimes standing near the window, just watching the courtyard in silence. The only time he left was when I wasn't around to notice. I'd come back from class and find small changes. A different hoodie on his chair. A new book on the desk. Once, a pair of heavy black boots left soaking wet by the heater. It hadn't rained that day. But what bothered me most was the closet. Always locked. Always humming. A low, faint mechanical hum, like a tiny motor buried inside. I asked him once, "Hey man, is your closet making noise?" He didn't even look up. Just muttered, "Must be old wiring." But we lived in a renovated dorm. Everything was new. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the closet across the dark room, watching the faint blue light that flickered underneath the door. And at exactly 3:11 a.m. I heard it. A soft creak. Then a whisper. Low, almost too faint to catch. I leaned up from bed, listening. Eric was asleep. Breathing heavy. But something from inside the closet said, "Hey, you awake?" Then silence. Dead silence. My skin froze. And I swear, I saw the closet door move. Just a little. Just enough. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I told myself it was just in my head. It had to be. Right. For the next few nights, I couldn't stop thinking about that whisper. I kept telling myself maybe it was a dream. Maybe it was some weird half-sleep thing. But then the scratching started. It was subtle at first. Like a pencil dragging across a desk. Just a faint sound that came around 2 or 3 in the morning. Always from Eric's side. Always when the room was dark. At first, I thought it was him writing in that weird notebook of his. But I glanced over one night when I heard it, and he was lying perfectly still. On his side. Eyes closed. Breathing slow. But the sound kept going. Scratch. Pause. Scratch. Not on paper. Not like a pen. More like fingernails against wood. And it was coming from inside the closet. I sat up in bed and leaned a little closer, trying not to make a sound. The scratching was deliberate. Almost patterned. Like a rhythm. It would stop, then start again, like whoever, or whatever, was doing it needed to catch its breath. I asked Eric the next day, casually, "Hey, man. You been hearing weird noises at night?" He looked up from his food, chewing slowly. "Nope. Like scratching or tapping or something?" He didn't blink. "Old pipes," he said. Except we lived on the 3rd floor, and there were no pipes in our closet walls. That night, I decided to leave my phone recording on voice memo while I slept. I slid it under my bed, Mike pointing toward his side of the room. Just to prove I wasn't crazy. The next morning, I listened back. First, it was just hours of silence. Some light snoring. My own turning in bed. Then, around 2:14 a.m., it started. Scratch. Pause. Scratch, scratch. A tap. Then more scratching. Then a whisper. I had to replay it 3 times. It was faint. Breathless. But clear. Tyler. My name. Followed by something else. Softer. Almost like a warning. Don't wake up yet. I paused the audio and just sat there, staring at my screen. I wasn't even sure I had really heard it. I called Melissa right away. I told her about the sounds. The voice. Everything. She said, "Dude. That's not normal. Get out of there." I told her I'd confront Eric first. Maybe it was some messed up prank. Maybe he was messing with me. So that night, when he came back from wherever he went during the day, I asked him straight up, "Did you say my name last night?" He blinked once. "What? Did you whisper my name? Like really late?" He stared at me. His face didn't move, but his fingers were tapping slowly on the edge of his desk. 1, 2, 3. Like he was counting. Then he said, "You must be dreaming again." "Again?" He didn't answer. That night, I noticed something else. The closet lock was gone. The door was closed, but there was no lock anymore. And just before I went to bed, I thought I heard something breathing on the other side. Slow. Wet. And too close to the edge. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I kept one ear open, lying still with the blankets pulled up to my chin, phone clutched in my hand. Eric didn't move much. Just lay there silent. But the closet, that's where the air felt wrong. Like it was heavier on that side of the room. At around 2:30, I started hearing the scratching again. But it wasn't slow this time. It was frantic. Like claws dragging across the inside of a wooden box. Like something locked in there was trying to get out, and losing its patience. I held my breath and stared at the closet door. It didn't open, but I could see it vibrating. Just slightly. Like something behind it was pressing from the inside. And then Eric sat up. Not slowly. Not like he woke up from a dream. He jerked up, fast, and turned toward the closet. I didn't move. He reached for something under his bed. I couldn't see what it was. Then he stood. Walked over. Placed his hand on the closet handle. And just stood there. Not opening it. Not moving. Just breathing. I closed my eyes. I stayed frozen until I heard him climb back into bed. The closet never opened. But the scratching stopped. The next morning, I played back the new recording. I skipped through the static and silence until I found the same window of time, just after 2:30. First came the scratches. Then tapping. Then the same whisper again. "Tyler." But this time, there was something else. Another voice. Not Eric's. Lower. Damaged. Almost inhuman. "Don't let him lock me in again." I dropped my phone. The voice sounded like it was inches from the mic. Like it had been right under my bed. I didn't go to class that day. I couldn't focus. I kept replaying the sound, trying to make sense of it. My mind kept going back to that phrase. Again. Don't let him lock me in again. Like this had happened before. Like someone, or something, was stuck in that closet, waiting to get out. And Eric wasn't scared of it. He was part of it. I texted Melissa. Told her to come by. Told her I didn't feel safe. When she showed up later that evening, she brought something I wasn't expecting. A manila folder. She said, "You're not gonna believe this. I found something in the library. Hidden in one of the old archived campus files." "What is it?" I asked. She handed it to me, her voice quiet. "Blueprints. Old ones. From before the renovations. Your room? It used to be part of a sealed-off wing. And the guy who stayed in that room before, his name was Carter Whalen. He killed himself in the closet." My stomach turned. Melissa wasn't finished. "And Tyler, he lived there alone. No roommate. But campus security said he used to complain about voices. Whispering. Scratching sounds. Even a second lock on the inside of the closet door." I looked across the room. Eric was gone. Again. The closet door was shut tight. But now I knew what was behind it. Or at least part of it. And for the first time, I wondered if I had already waited too long to leave. Melissa left around 8, after making me promise to keep my phone on and call her if anything happened. I told her I would, but truthfully, I didn't know if I'd have the nerve. I didn't even want to turn the lights off. I sat in bed with my laptop open, headphones in, pretending to work on an essay, but all I was doing was watching the closet. Eric still wasn't back. His bed looked untouched. That humming noise had returned, but this time, it was deeper. Almost like a low thrum vibrating through the floor. At exactly 9:41 p.m., the light above the closet flickered. Then went out. Not the main room light. Just that one bulb. Like something specifically wanted that corner darker. The air turned cold, unnaturally cold. I got up and checked the vent. Nothing. No air blowing. But I could see my breath now. Inside the dorm. Then I heard it. From inside the wall behind the closet. A thump. Then scratching again, louder this time. Then something new. A dragging sound. Something heavy, being pulled across hollow drywall. Not on the floor, inside the wall. I backed away slowly, phone recording again. I whispered into it, just in case I didn't make it through the night. "Room 3B. East Hall. Something's behind the closet. If you find this." Then it stopped. Everything. No scratching. No dragging. Just silence. I stood frozen until I heard the door click open. Eric walked in. Same blank stare. Same slow steps. But something was different. His shirt was soaked. Not like sweat. It was dark, dripping onto the floor. His boots left wet prints behind him, muddy, mixed with something darker. He didn't say anything. Just walked straight to the closet, opened it halfway, and stood there with his back to me. That's when I finally saw the inside of the closet. It didn't match the room. The walls inside were old. Cracked brick with something carved into them, symbols I didn't recognize. There was no back wall either. Just an opening that went deeper, into what looked like a tunnel carved behind the dorm structure. And there were marks all over the wood frame. Deep claw marks. Human-sized. Eric reached in and whispered, "I brought him back." Then he stepped aside. And something crawled out. I didn't stay to see it. I bolted. Out the door. Down the hall. Didn't even wait for the elevator, just ran down 3 flights of stairs and out into the cold night. I didn't go back to the dorm that night. But that wasn't the end. Because at 3:03 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. No name. No contact. Just 3 words. "You left him." I stayed at Melissa's place for the next 2 nights. I didn't sleep much. Kept checking my phone every hour, jumping at the smallest sounds outside her window. Melissa tried to keep things normal. Movies, snacks, Anything to pull me out of it, but I couldn't stop thinking about the closet. About what came out of it. And about the message. You left him. On the third day, I went to campus housing and told them I wanted to transfer rooms. I didn't care where. I just said I needed out of 3B. They looked confused. The guy at the desk said, 3B? East Hall? Yeah. He typed for a few seconds, then frowned. There's no one assigned to 3B. That room was closed after the incident 2 years ago. There's no student on record there. I felt cold all over again. I said, That's not possible. I've been living there for 2 months. My roommate's name is Eric Talbot. He blinked. I'm sorry. That name's not in our database either. I pulled out my phone, showed him the dorm keycard assignment, the confirmation email from the semester start, even a picture of my room. He just stared at the screen. That's not even our dorm furniture. This photo isn't from East Hall. I walked out of the office before he could say anything else. Melissa met me by the library steps. She looked worried the second she saw me. You look like you saw a ghost, she said. I think I lived in one. She didn't get it at first. Until I told her everything the guy said. Then she got quiet. I want to see it, she said. I want to see the room. I didn't want to go back. But I also needed to know I wasn't losing my mind. We waited until after dark. I still had my key. We slipped in through the back entrance, climbed the stairs slowly, each step creaking louder than I remembered. When we reached the 3rd floor, it was like time had stopped. The hallway was darker than it should have been. All the other doors looked normal. Except 3B. There was no number on the door anymore. Just a smooth strip of wood where the plaque used to be. I unlocked it anyway. The door opened smoothly. But it wasn't the same room. The furniture was gone. The beds. The desk. Even the carpet was stripped. The room was bare drywall, the air thick with dust. The windows were boarded from the inside. Melissa whispered, This isn't the picture you showed me. I walked inside, phone light on. I tried to find the closet. There wasn't one. No door. No frame. Just a blank wall where it used to be. Then Melissa tapped my arm and pointed down. In the middle of the floor was a trapdoor. Wooden, with rusted hinges. Definitely not there before. Carved into the wood was a symbol I recognized from inside the closet. I knelt down, my fingers trembling as I brushed the dust away. I didn't open it. I didn't have to. Because from underneath it, I heard Eric whisper, I told you not to wake up yet. Melissa backed away from the trapdoor immediately, her face pale. We need to leave, she whispered. Now. But I couldn't move. There was something about the way Eric said it, like he knew we were coming. Like he'd been waiting. I knelt there, frozen, until a sudden knock, 3 sharp raps, came from underneath the door. I jumped back, nearly knocking over a broken chair in the corner. Dust scattered into the air. That same low hum returned, vibrating through the soles of my shoes. Melissa grabbed my sleeve. Tyler, this isn't a dorm room. This is something else. Something they've tried to bury. I looked around, heart pounding. She was right. The walls had been painted over hastily, but underneath the chipped layers, I could see dark stains in the corners. Symbols carved along the baseboards. Scratches on the inside of the door, as if someone had tried to claw their way out. Then, the trapdoor creaked. Just a little. We both stepped back. I raised my phone, hand shaking, and took a picture. The flash lit up the room for a brief second. And in that second, someone else was in the photo. A figure crouched beside the trapdoor. Barefoot. Eyes glowing faintly in the flash. Face pale and rotting. Eric. But not the Eric I remembered. Melissa grabbed my arm and yanked me toward the door. I didn't fight her this time. We ran. Down the hall, down the stairs, past the rusted emergency exit that shouldn't have been open, but somehow was. We didn't speak until we were 2 blocks from campus. Only then did I show her the photo. And she said something that made my blood run cold. That's not Eric. I stared at the screen again. She was right. The face was twisted, older, stretched in ways that weren't natural. The eyes were hollow, almost black. The mouth too wide. And he was holding something. A keycard. Mine. I checked my pockets, chest tightening. Gone. Melissa's voice trembled. What if it never was Eric? I didn't answer. That night we didn't sleep. The next morning, I went back to housing to demand answers. I brought the photo. I brought the emails. This time, someone else was behind the desk, an older woman with tired eyes. She stared at the photo for a long time before speaking. Then said, "You need to talk to campus security. There's something you should see in the old records room." "What is it?" I asked. Her reply chilled me. "The last person who tried to live in 3B? His name was Eric Talbot." She pushed a file toward me. "He died in 1997. The security office was tucked into the corner of an old administrative building most students didn't even know existed. The hallways smelled like dust and forgotten paper. Everything about it felt abandoned, but the lights were still on. A tired-looking guard named Donovan met us at the front. "You're here about East Hall?" he asked, before I could even say a word. I nodded. He didn't seem surprised. Just motioned for us to follow. We were led into a records room behind a locked steel door. It looked like it hadn't been touched in years. Rows of filing cabinets lined the walls, each one marked by hand-scrawled labels. Donovan pulled open a drawer marked Incidents East Campus and flipped through until he found the folder. Talbot Eric. 1997. He placed the manila file down on the table. I opened it slowly. Inside were photocopies of handwritten reports, black and white photos, and a signed statement from the former dorm director. Eric Talbot had been a second-year psychology student. Lived alone in room 3B. Over the span of 4 weeks, he had filed multiple noise complaints. Scratching. Whispering. Someone breathing behind the walls. He kept requesting to be moved. But the office never processed the request. The last entry was dated October 13, 1997. It said, "Resident was found unresponsive in closet. Cause of death unclear. Doors showed signs of being locked from the inside." One of the photos showed the closet interior. Brick walls. Same symbols. Same tunnel behind it. Melissa was reading over my shoulder when she said, "Look at this." She pulled out a photo of the maintenance report from that year. "The tunnel was sealed up with concrete in 98, she said. "But your closet was open." I didn't respond. I was staring at another sheet near the bottom of the file. A room chart. Room 3B, marked as condemned. And beneath that, a small sticky note in faded ink. "We sealed the floor, but it always finds a way back." I closed the file, hands shaking. Donovan finally spoke again. "You said you've been staying in 3B? "Yes." He frowned. "That room's not supposed to exist anymore. It was rebuilt over with faculty storage. The floor above it doesn't even line up on the new blueprints." "Then how did I?" He held up a hand. "I've heard stories like yours before. Every few years, a student gets placed in a room that shouldn't be there. Records vanish. People forget. But it always ends the same." "What do you mean?" Donovan stepped closer, his voice dropping. "Whoever goes in doesn't always come out. And the ones who do? They're never quite the same. The room doesn't want to be forgotten. And it doesn't want to be empty." That night, I slept with the lights on again, this time at Melissa's. At 3:07 a.m., I woke up to a sound in her hallway. Soft footsteps. And whispering outside the door. "Roommate, wanted back." I didn't move. I just lay there, listening to the whispering bleed through Melissa's apartment door like a slow leak of something toxic. The words repeated in a loop. Roommate. Wanted. Back. Melissa was still asleep on the floor next to me. I reached down and nudged her, whispering her name. She stirred, sat up, then froze. The whispering was louder now. She mouthed, "Is that someone in the hallway?" I nodded. She crawled to the door, slow and quiet, and pressed her ear against it. Then recoiled. Her face turned white. "What is it?" I whispered. She swallowed. "That's your voice." I didn't understand at first. Then she added, "It's you. But it's not you now. It's you from the recording. The one from the night in the dorm. I remember it. The same way you whispered into your phone." She was right. The exact words I'd spoken. "Room 3B. East Hall. Something's behind the closet. If you find this." I scrambled to my phone. Opened my voice memos. That file was gone. Deleted. A soft tap sounded at the door. Just once. I stepped toward it, even though everything in my body told me not to. I looked through the peephole. No one was there. But down the hallway, the elevator door stood open. Flickering. Waiting. Melissa grabbed her keys. "We're not staying here." We left everything, laptop, bags, even our jackets. Ran down the stairs, out into the night. We went straight to the police station, told them everything. They didn't laugh. But they also didn't do much. Just a quiet report, a few questions. They said they'd forward it to campus security, again. But they never followed up. We spent the next 2 days at an off-campus motel. Tried to convince ourselves it was over. Until the morning Melissa didn't wake up. I shook her. Called her name. Her eyes fluttered open for a second, but they weren't hers. They were glazed, foggy, like she was somewhere else. She whispered something I couldn't understand. Then closed her eyes again. She stayed asleep for 2 more days. Doctors couldn't explain it. She was stable. No signs of trauma or illness. But she wouldn't respond. She only woke up when I finally went back. It was her voice that pulled me. That same whisper I'd heard outside the door. Calling me back to 3B. I didn't know what it wanted. But I knew this, it wouldn't stop. Not until I returned. And if I didn't, it would take her instead. I didn't want to believe it. But Melissa's blank stare, the way her lips moved without sound, it was like someone else was trapped inside her. I had no choice. I went back. I took the campus shuttle in the dead of night. The cold air was sharp against my face, but it was nothing compared to the chill in my bones. East Hall loomed ahead. The windows dark, the halls empty. I kept my phone flashlight on as I walked inside. My footsteps echoed louder than I expected. I headed straight for the 3rd floor. Room 3B. The door was still unmarked, smooth as ever. I pulled out the keycard, the one I'd found in the strange photo. It slid in and clicked open. The room was just as empty as before. The trapdoor in the floor still there, waiting. I stared at it for a long time, heart hammering. Finally, I lifted it. Cold, damp air rushed out. The tunnel. It wasn't just a crawl space. It stretched far beyond the dorm's foundation. I stepped down. The walls closed in tight, carved symbols glowing faintly in the darkness. I called out Melissa's name. No answer. I kept going deeper. Then I saw it. A small wooden box sitting on a stone pedestal. Carved with the same strange symbols. I opened it. Inside was a folded piece of paper and a small, rusty key. The note read, "He waits in the shadows for the forgotten. Free him, or lose what you love." My phone buzzed. A new message. "He's coming." My hand shook as I read the message. I looked around the tunnel, shadows stretching endlessly. The air was thick. The silence was suffocating. I had a choice. Use the rusty key to unlock whatever was waiting down here. Or leave and risk losing Melissa forever. I took a deep breath and turned the key in a nearby ancient lock embedded in the stone wall. A hidden door creaked open. Beyond it, a dark room filled with old belongings, pictures, journals, even a worn-out dorm jacket. And in the corner, a shadowy figure sat still, eyes glowing faintly. It was Eric. Not the student I knew. Something else. He whispered. You left me. The walls seemed to close in. But then the figure reached out, handing me a small box. Inside was a lighter and a note. Burn the past. Set us free. I lit the lighter and set the journals ablaze. Smoke filled the tunnel. The figure faded. The cold lifted. I ran back to the dorm, heart pounding. Melissa was waiting outside, eyes clear. She smiled weakly. We left East Hall behind. And I never went back. Some places don't want to be remembered. Some rooms don't want to be lived in. And some stories refuse to stay buried.